He thought one viral video would end her career forever. He had no idea she had been recording everything for 6 months. What happened next cost him his company, his reputation, and his marriage. Maya Chen had been a flight attendant for 12 years. 12 years of perfect reviews. 12 years of passenger commendations. 12 years of building a career she loved. And in 47 seconds, a man named Richard Harmon tried to take it all away. The video that went viral showed Maya allegedly refusing to serve a black passenger. It showed her supposedly making a discriminatory comment. It showed Richard Harmon, a wealthy tech executive, heroically confronting her racism. Within 24 hours, Maya was suspended pending investigation. Within 48 hours, she was getting death threats. But here's what the viral video didn't show. Here's what Richard Harmon never expected anyone to discover. Maya had been documenting his behavior for 6 months. And what she had collected would not just clear her name. It would expose a pattern of predatory behavior that stretched back over a decade. The question is, how did one flight attendant take down a man worth $200 million? Let me take you back to where this really started. 6 months before that viral video, Maya was working a red-eye flight from Los Angeles to New York. First class. Seat 2 Alpha. Richard Harmon. She recognized his face from business magazines. Tech genius. Philanthropist. The kind of man who donated hospitals and got buildings named after him. But that night, Maya saw something that magazine profiles never mentioned. Richard Harmon was a predator. Not in any way that would make headlines. Subtler than that. She watched him berate a young flight attendant named Jessica until tears streamed down her face. She watched him make comments about her body loud enough for everyone to hear. And when Jessica tried to file a complaint, she watched the airline do absolutely nothing. Because Richard Harmon flew $200,000 worth of first-class tickets every single year. Maya went home that night and did something she had never done before. She started a file. Names. Dates. Witnesses. Every single incident. If you're thinking this sounds paranoid, wait until you hear what she discovered next. Now here's where I need you to pay attention. Because this is where the story takes a turn nobody expected. Maya started reaching out to other flight attendants. Quietly. Carefully. She found Jessica, the young woman Richard had humiliated that night. And Jessica told her something that made Maya's blood run cold. It wasn't just one incident. Jessica had filed 3 separate complaints against Richard Harmon over the past year. 3 complaints that had all mysteriously disappeared from the system. But that wasn't even the worst part. Jessica introduced Maya to another flight attendant. Then another. Then another. 7 women in total. 7 flight attendants who had all filed complaints against the same passenger. 7 complaints that had all been buried by the airline. Do you see what was happening here? This wasn't just a rich man behaving badly. This was a corporate cover-up. A system designed to protect a high-value customer at the expense of its own employees. And Maya realized she wasn't just building a case against Richard Harmon anymore. She was building a case against the airline itself. For 5 more months, Maya documented everything. She created a network of flight attendants who would alert her whenever Richard Harmon was on a manifest. She gathered statements. Recorded witnesses. Built a timeline that stretched back 11 years. But she knew she needed something more. Because in any case like this, it always comes down to one thing. His word against theirs. And Richard Harmon had something none of these women had. Money. Lawyers. A public relations team that could spin anything. Maya needed irrefutable proof. And that's when she made a decision that would change everything. She volunteered to work every single one of Richard's flights. She put herself directly in the line of fire. Some might call it brave. Others might call it crazy. But Maya knew something that Richard Harmon didn't. She knew that eventually, he would slip up. He always did. And when that moment came, she would be ready. With a camera. What would you have done? Would you have put yourself at risk like that? Think about it. Because what happened next will shock you. But here's what nobody is talking about. Everything I just told you? That was just the setup. Because what Richard Harmon did next was so calculated, so deliberately evil, that it changed the entire game. Flight 729 from Chicago to Miami. Maya was working first class. Richard Harmon was in seat 1 Alpha. And this time, he was ready. See, Richard had noticed Maya on his flights. He had seen the way she watched him. And like all predators, he decided to eliminate the threat before it became a problem. What he did was diabolically simple. He waited until Maya was serving another passenger. Then he secretly recorded a 47-second clip. Except he didn't just record it. He edited it. He took fragments of different conversations, spliced them together, added his own heroic narration, and created a video that made Maya look like a racist monster. The passenger she was supposedly discriminating against? He was a paid actor. A friend of Richard's. The whole thing was a setup designed to destroy Maya before she could expose him. But Richard Harmon made one critical mistake. Maya's camera was still recording too. The viral video spread like wildfire. Within hours, Maya was suspended. Within days, she was facing termination. The airline wanted this to go away as quickly and quietly as possible. But Maya didn't panic. Instead, she made a phone call. On the other end was a woman named Sarah Martinez. Investigative journalist. Emmy winner. Someone who had spent her entire career exposing corporate corruption. Maya told her everything. The 6 months of documentation. The 7 other flight attendants. The corporate cover-up. And most importantly, the unedited footage that proved Richard's video was a fabrication. Sarah listened to every word. And then she said something that gave Maya chills. Maya, do you know who Richard Harmon really is? Do you know what his company actually does? Maya admitted she didn't. Sarah's next words would reveal why this story was about to become so much bigger than one viral video. This goes all the way to the top, Sarah said. And I'm about to show you how deep this rabbit hole goes. Richard Harmon's company wasn't just a tech firm. It was a government contractor. And for the past 8 years, his company had been systematically discriminating against minority employees while collecting diversity grants worth $50 million. Richard didn't just harass flight attendants for sport. He did it because he had built an empire on the belief that he was untouchable. Sarah and Maya worked together for 3 weeks. They compiled everything into a single explosive report. The 7 flight attendants. The buried complaints. The edited video exposed frame by frame. And the corporate fraud that Richard's company had been committing for nearly a decade. Then Sarah published it. Not just on her network. Everywhere. Every major news outlet picked up the story. Every business publication. Every social media platform. Within 72 hours, Richard Harmon went from hero to villain. His board demanded his resignation. His investors pulled out. His wife filed for divorce after discovering he had been doing this to women for years. The man who tried to destroy Maya's career with a fabricated video watched his entire empire crumble because of the truth she had documented. But the story doesn't end there. Because karma wasn't finished with Richard Harmon yet. The federal investigation that followed Sarah's report uncovered even more. Tax fraud. Securities violations. A pattern of witness intimidation that stretched back years. Richard Harmon, the man who tried to destroy an innocent woman with a fake video, is now facing up to 25 years in federal prison. As for Maya, the airline that suspended her without investigation, they settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. But Maya asked for something more valuable than money. She demanded they implement mandatory harassment training. She demanded they create an independent complaint system that couldn't be buried by wealthy passengers. And they agreed. Every single flight attendant who had been silenced received compensation. Every buried complaint was officially acknowledged. Maya didn't just win her case. She changed an entire industry. And it all started because one woman decided to document the truth instead of staying silent. Now let me tell you why this story matters beyond just one satisfying revenge. Because Richard Harmon wasn't unique. He was a symptom of a system that protects people with money and punishes those who speak out. Think about how many times you've seen someone get away with terrible behavior because of their status. Think about how many victims stay silent because they know the system won't protect them. Maya could have been one of those silent victims. She could have accepted the termination. She could have let the viral video define her forever. But she made a different choice. She chose to document. She chose to build a case. She chose to find allies. And she chose to wait for the perfect moment to strike. That's not just revenge. That's strategy. That's patience. That's understanding that karma doesn't always come quickly, but when you help it along with evidence and determination, it comes devastatingly. The question I have for you is this. If you saw injustice happening, would you have the courage to document it? Would you play the long game like Maya did? Here's something most people miss about stories like this. Maya's victory wasn't guaranteed. There were moments when she almost gave up. When the death threats became too much. When her own family told her to just move on. When she wondered if one flight attendant could really take down a man with $200 million. But she kept going. And here's what pushed her through. She kept a photo on her phone. A screenshot from the day Jessica, that young flight attendant from the first flight, sent her a message. It said 3 words. "Thank you, Maya." 3 words that reminded her this wasn't just about her own vindication. It was about every person Richard Harmon had ever hurt. Every complaint that had been buried. Every victim who had been silenced. Maya carried that weight. And she transformed it into fuel. The night before Sarah's report went live, Maya barely slept. She sat in her apartment, watching the last 6 months of her life organized into folders on her laptop. And she realized something profound. She had become the person she wished had existed when Jessica needed help. Sometimes justice requires someone to be first. Someone to take the risk. Someone to say enough. Let me tell you about the courtroom moment that sealed Richard Harmon's fate. His lawyers had one final strategy. They claimed Maya had edited her footage too. They claimed she had manipulated the evidence just like she was accusing Richard of doing. It was a bold move. And for a moment, it actually seemed like it might work. But Maya's legal team had anticipated this. They brought in a forensic video analyst. Someone who had testified in over 200 federal cases. And what he revealed destroyed Richard's defense completely. Maya's footage was continuous. Unedited. Timestamped by the device itself with blockchain verification. But Richard's viral video? The analyst showed the jury exactly how it was constructed. Cut here. Splice there. Audio from one conversation laid over video from another. The paid actor even admitted on the stand that he had been compensated $15,000 to participate in the setup. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. When they returned, Richard Harmon was found liable on all counts. The foreman later said they knew within the first 30 minutes. The evidence was that overwhelming. Today, Maya Chen runs a non-profit organization that helps workplace harassment victims document and report their experiences. She has helped over 3,000 employees navigate hostile work environments. She speaks at conferences about the power of strategic documentation. And every single time, she tells the same story. The story of a wealthy man who thought he could destroy her with lies. And the story of how patience, evidence, and allies turned his weapon back on himself. Richard Harmon's company no longer exists. His name has become synonymous with corporate arrogance. His case is taught in business schools as an example of what happens when accountability finally catches up with power. But here's the part Maya always ends with. She says the real victory wasn't the courtroom win. It wasn't the settlement. It wasn't even watching Richard Harmon's empire crumble. The real victory was the message it sent. That money doesn't make you untouchable. That victims don't have to stay silent. And that karma, when armed with the truth, always delivers. So what can you learn from Maya's story? First, document everything. If something feels wrong, write it down. Save the emails. Note the witnesses. You never know when you'll need that evidence. Second, find your allies. Maya couldn't have done this alone. She needed the other flight attendants. She needed Sarah the journalist. She needed a legal team who believed in her case. Third, play the long game. Maya waited 6 months before making her move. She could have acted impulsively when she first saw Richard's behavior. Instead, she built an airtight case that couldn't be dismissed. And finally, remember that karma doesn't always work alone. Sometimes it needs a little help. Sometimes it needs someone brave enough to collect the evidence. Someone patient enough to wait for the right moment. Someone determined enough to see it through to the end. Maya was all of those things. And because of her, Richard Harmon learned a lesson he'll never forget. You can try to destroy someone with lies. But the truth, when properly documented, will always destroy you back. That's how karma delivered justice for Maya Chen. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button because we find the stories where justice always wins. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed someone get away with something because of their money or status? What happened? Drop your story in the comments. You never know, your story might be featured next. And if you want more karma stories with the most satisfying endings, click the video on your screen right now.